I want to underscore like a part of what I feel like has to separate the type of shit we're trying to build and what we're talking about from what currently exists is around this hamster wheel thing and getting people to fully understand and internalize the levels of that shit. And what I mean by that is in the collective ways of quote unquote building, like on our side, I feel like resources have to be used to literally just ensure that the people doing the labor literally don't have to live under scarcity anymore. It's like, imagine if Google and Apple, they're all fucked up and they shouldn't exist, but let's hypothetically speaking here, just the sheer power and resources they have. Imagine if they, a part of their resources were allotted to just giving housing and whatever to all of their staff, all of the people working, all the way down the production and distribution line. I mean, there's that much capital and resources.
It wouldn't even make a dent.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a fucking dent, you know? But then like, I mean, there's layers and levels to it. Like the next deep layer is like recalibrating thinking around property. You know, it's like, well, if you do get a place to live and whatever through an institution or organization like this, well, it's not to be bought and sold, it's to be used. It's being constructed for you to use for as long as you need to use it. But if you're not using it, you can't sell it. You can't rent, have people renting out of it to make passive income off of it. It's to be used. Right. And imagine if all those resources that these firms are generating, and they could be cooperative ones, and they could be ecologically sustainable ones, and they could be actually democratic ones, right? But they're generating all of these resources. They're able to, open up decommodified property and space and yada, yada, yada. And it's bottom up. It's like, it's the same cultural laborers that are producing this wealth, but they're able to use it in this sort of way. Like, that's the shit to me that, cause it's like, I don't want to rent anymore. I don't want to rent anymore. I don't want to have to even think about where I'm gonna fucking live. I'm tired, I'm done with that. And I don't want to have a boss, like ever again. I don't want to have someone over me. So it's like, part of my thinking is, cause it's what we always say. It's like, no, make it about you too. It's not fucking some activism shit where it's all just, you're a priest.
Right.
You're a fucking Mother Teresa or some shit.
You're stepping down.
No,
Nigga,
no.
Love yourself.
Yes, I first and foremost.
Tap back in with that little kid. Yeah. That little pure ass kid when you was 5, 6, and you'd be like, why do they get to tell me? You know what I mean? Or that negative feeling that you had that felt very purely, not just negative because you were being a brat, but negative because you had a feeling like the world was unfair, something was wrong and unfair for a bad reason. Not a childish reason, a bad reason, you know?
Right.
You have to tap back in. And that comes back to what I was saying in the first place. It's like, all of this shit is so crazy anti-human.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it trains you to be anti-human. It trains you to believe, to
think in that way,
to truly believe and think. I'm walking around LA, man. I can't trust none of these niggas, man. Yeah. I can't fuck with nobody.
Right.
Yeah. No, ain't nobody going to fuck with that shit. They don't want to. You know what I mean? Like, that's the voice. Constantly in the back of your fuck humans. You know what I mean? Fuck people. Fuck doing things for people or with people. Like,
you know what's funny is like that voice is not even that strong. Because people don't have evidence to back it up like that. You know what tripped me out?
It's just a lazy instinct.
Yeah, you know what tripped me out? I was talking to my cousin the other month, and he, my Nigerian cousin, and everybody on my Nigerian side of the family, they all have this instinct of like, you can't trust anybody. You can't trust any of these people. People are selfish, like violent, all this stuff. And my cousin said that, and I knew just from the second he said it, I was like, you don't really believe that. And I was like, people aren't really like selfish like that. And instead of pushing back and arguing with me, he goes, really?
Right.
Like, seriously?
He had never even investigated.
Like, he never considered the possibility that they were.
Right.
I can show, and like, that sounds like I'm exaggerating. I can show you the screenshot where he was like, oh, for real?
It's just the first idea.
Yeah,
that you're
it's the
handed,
first thing people tell you.
You kind of go, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
It's like, well, that doesn't work because people are selfish. It's like, no, the reality is people lied to you about what the fuck they were doing, and you thought what they were doing is what you were talking about, which is I'm talking about socialism, I guess. It's like somebody said they were doing socialism, and it was just up to one guy, who that dude might have been selfish, yeah, and he fucked it up for everybody. He fucked up the narrative for I'll just say it's Lenin. Stop fucking around. But like fucked up the narrative for the next 100-something years.
Forever, probably.
Forever.
Yeah.
So we to the point where we can't even use the word anymore and be honest about what the fuck we're doing.
The beautiful
People
thing.
automatically think, oh no, that's not gonna work.
The beautiful thing is, and I know we're on the same page about this too, it's like, fuck the isms. It was always deeper than the isms anyways.
Right.
It's social relations, it's organization.
Yeah.
You
and
know?
to be clear, it existed before the word ever existed.
Capitalism.
So
authoritarianism, domination has been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's at the root of the capitalism problem. You know, so it's like, I'm not even wedded to the ism, terminology or whatever. But what you're saying also, actually what both of y'all are saying reminds me of this other point that I feel like gets lost in these conversations is like, let's stop fucking generalizing. Like when we're talking about people, like humans are everything.
Yeah.
We're fucking selfish. We're the most giving, loving. We're the most nurturing. We're dumb as fuck.
Intelligent as
We're smart as fuck. We're geniuses. We are everything.
Short as hell.
It's just when we're talking about this.
Tall as fuck.
When we're talking about this.
Lost our family.
It's just a question.
They call me stupid.
It's just a question of what do we want? What are we trying to lean into? What tendencies are we trying to lean into?
Yeah.
What instincts are we trying to lean into?
Yeah, what would we prefer to be?
Right. And
What can we encourage in each other?
And to be concrete, like in terms of the implications or where we go from that part of the conversation, for me is, like when we're talking about quote unquote organizing or quote unquote like doing stuff with people, like you don't just do it with anybody. Like when we're talking about these, cooperative labor and we're talking about decommodified land and space, implicit in all of that is fucking trust.
Right.
It's cultural connection. It's vulnerability. It's love. It's all these different things. And yeah, that's fucking hard to find and cultivate. It takes a lot of work and commitment, but we got it. We can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's already in us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here existing, living if it wasn't in us as human beings.
I mean, there's like a low vibrational, like non-emotionally granular way to feel about everything, and there's a pro-human.
Right.
I love myself and I love other people.
Right.
I'm gonna try to vibrate a little bit higher with that emotion that I feel.
Right.
And in that case, the low emotion is distrust.
Right.
Just general sweeping distrust. Where it could be discretion and discernment.
Right.
Which is like, that comes from here. That comes from like, discernment comes from like here. When you discerning a motherfucker, like, it's not that I don't trust him.
Right.
I just want to know.
Let me just see.
Let me just see.
Right.
Let me actually see, because distrust means I'm not even gonna give you
shutting it down.
I'm shutting you down.
I've been side-eyeing y'all from day one. So